if I told you Kittle is getting 10 targets this week, and he says 6,500 price tag, yeah, exactly. And that's really what it comes down to.
We are back. It's the Joe Holka Show presented by FanDuel. Week 5 locks of the week, position by position. These are the DFS plays that we have to have exposure to. And per usual, there's a lot to get to on this segment, but make sure you stay until the end because we're going to be building a team live on FanDuel. That team will be in the listener league at fanduel.com/Holka. So make sure you get in there. $5 at 3 entry max, all that good stuff. It is rake free. We're going to be reviewing that contest every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So check that out. All I ask in return is that if you are a new player or it's been a while since you played on FanDuel, you use my link to support the show, fanduel.com/Holka. We'll get things back on the rails here quickly. It wouldn't be locks of the week without my good buddy from The Athletic and BetsTV. You guys know him on Twitter. He's at AllInKid. Jake Ciely, you're a quarterback lock of the week. It sounds like if Lance plays, you are all in on Lance. Actually, can we call him Lance Romance? Is that a thing? It's got to be.
Sure.
After what he played, after how he played last week, maybe not.
I'm not the best when it comes to nicknames. Actually, Pat May always gets mad at me when I call the nicknames. The last good one that he accepted was Snoo for Muhammad Snoo, but you can't use him anymore. Or we came up with Mooney Tunes, so that would have worked last week with Mooney Tunes. That would have been great. But I am not the nickname king. That is Pat Mayo. But yeah, look, I understand.
6,900. He's really cheap. I'm with you.
Yes. Yeah. We got burned by Justin Fields, but the difference is between the two is something I said in the preseason that doesn't really have to do with DFS, but it's the fact that these two players is on a talent basis. You gave me talent versus talent. I'm taking Fields every single time. But if you tell me with they're both starting, who are the teams that they're on and the construction around them, I'm going to take Lance on the 49ers over Fields on the Bears. And on top of that, we just saw, as ugly as it may look at times, it's a good thing we don't get negative points for ugliness, is it didn't matter because Lance still finished as a top 20 quarterback and a half last week. So that's really where you're going to. And on top of it, facing the Cardinals, I do have concern a little bit with the Cardinals defense, not as much as we might have had the first 2 weeks. They haven't been as intense as they were in the first 2 weeks. They can get after Lance, but that's the good thing is he seems more inclined to run than Fields at this point. So that rushing upside, and if he can just hit 1 or 2 decent plays and maybe not float the ball to Debo as much as he did, but I just think the upside is here for 6,900 against Arizona in one of the higher scoring games we expect. I think that's really what it comes down to. There's some ones that I would consider paying up for with the way that Daniel Jones is running and playing against Dallas, maybe, and Dak Prescott on the other side of that ball. I like both those quarterbacks, but for the savings, Lance at 6,900 feels like a nice play that we should go after.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like you said, like the success that he had, it looked ugly, but that's like, I guess, the floor you get from these guys that run as much as Trey Lance does. And obviously the full week of practice, different game plan, all those things play into his favor. Let's actually move on from quarterbacks. I think there's some interesting situations to talk through. Specifically at running back, we've got Swift at 6,900. We've got Damien Williams at 5,800. And we've got Saquon at 7,800. You're giving us 3 locks of the week at the running back position this week. Tell us why, Jake. Let's start with Swift.
Well, Swift that's the 2.5 lock. Swift is the Dyson one, especially with Anthony Lynn coming out today and saying that I wish I would have used Jamal Williams some more and some opportunities, because this was what we feared as Swift people when Anthony Lynn came in, is that he loves the split backfield. And we saw for the first couple of weeks is, hey, look, Swift looks great. Maybe Anthony Lynn's not going to screw around as much as we thought he would. And then last week happened, and part of it wasn't just the split, part is just Swift's situation in that game. But they also came out immediately after that game and said it's going to be a lot depending on the defenses we face. And I dug and dug and dug. And through the first 4 games, there's no real rhyme or reason whether or not they're running cover 2, man, zone, pressure the quarterback. There's no overlap between the 2 games where Swift really did good and Williams did it, and the 2 games that Williams really did good. So I'm not really sure what he's talking about besides the fact of him being him. But again, at 6,900, maybe that's what we're going for, the nice lineup here today with a 6,900 as against Minnesota. This is a great game to target on both sides of it. I think for 6,900, it's worth the risk that Lynn is just, talking out of the side of his mouth, and that this is going to be a more of a Swift game and maybe trying to play coach speak over here. I don't think that the ownership is probably going to be double digits either because of the concern. So I like Swift a lot. The other 2 would be the heavier locks of the 2. Damien Williams, 5,800, just smash him into your lineup. Well, we saw what Damien Williams can do with the Chiefs, and Damien Williams has this backfield to himself. I do think Herbert's going to be involved a little bit. My only concern in this game is not Damien Williams. It's not his touches. My only concern is that Las Vegas can get after the quarterback a little bit, and maybe that throws Fields off, which throws off the offense. But for Damien Williams himself, that's pretty easy. I mean, honestly, you're getting a bell cow running back sub 600 or 6,000. That's insane. And of course, I love Barkley. I know you weren't setting me up for that one, but I might as well just throw him in there. He's still not 8,000. That's the easy. Saquon Barkley, not 8,000. Plug him in. This is similar to if Christian McCaffrey's not 10,000. Saquon Barkley's not pushing 8,500, 9,000. Just put him in your lineup.
Yep, we got the jersey back up in the studio, the Saquon jersey in there. Definitely check out the video earlier this week, the mystery box unboxing. Deebo Samuel jersey. We got the TJ Hawkinson helmet. We got a CEH helmet. But nice to have the Saquon jersey back up in there. And you mentioned Swift and his price, Jake. Just at the exact moment that we talked about Swift at 6,900, all the bots just funnel into the YouTube chat, of course. So I'm not sure if we triggered something there. But I'm with you on Damien Williams for sure. 5,800. Like I hate the term free square, but like on FanDuel, you get these guys and these pricing inefficiencies at times, especially if there's an injury like that. It gets you up to that next tier of wide receivers. We love like the 5,500 to 6,300 range at wide receiver. So I think that Damien's a way that you can get there for sure. You're going to be eating some chalk there. Just make sure you're getting different with the rest of your teams if you do go that direction. Saquon is 7,800. Right. Definitely the snaps have been going up every week. The touches have been going up every week. He finally gets in the end zone a couple times last week as well. So before we get to wide receiver, Jake, we mentioned this last week and it actually helped, I think. So we've been getting pretty close to 10,000 views on this video. But what's crazy is I would imagine a lot of these people have no idea that we also have a podcast. So make sure that you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that stuff. We got to get those numbers up somehow. But Jake is going to yell at you guys so that you do it.
And also do the thumbs up because you're at 99. You're not even at 100 this
Triple
week.
digits.
I actually just saw the chat. By the way, McNasty, yes, I did play OBJ last week and hated that because of wonderful Baker Mayfield leaving that wonderful wide open touchdown on the field because he can't throw.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, so there's a link in the description, all that good stuff. Let's move on to Jake's wide receiver locks of the week. I love how Jake throws me a couple different names so we can kind of fly through a couple of different guys that are options. Jaylen Waddle, we actually just talked a little bit about Gesicki in this same game as kind of a way to pay down a tight end. But what are your thoughts about Waddle this week specifically? He is, let's see, 5,400. So it's got to be a price thing, man. That is super low for a guy with this type of upside.
And that's really what it comes down to is not just Waddle for the volume. The biggest thing is it's low ADOT, low air yards, low touchdown upside. But this is a situation where you also look at the matchup and the way that the situation goes. Actually, both sides of the ball in this game, Dolphins and Buccaneers, their defenses kind of funnel receivers over the middle, tight ends, very much the type of Waddle types. And this is what you want to look for. This is actually why I think Antonio Brown is a better play than Mike Evans this week, just because of the situation and what Miami can present on the outside with Xavier Howard. But if you look at it, similar situations, and if you're going to attack these defenses, that's where you make your day. I do like Devontae Parker, but when you get the $300 discount, and again, going for volume here, and hopefully that Waddle kind of has one of his biggest days, that's why I think for price, Waddle, obviously there's locks higher up in the list, especially for price-wise once you get to the 7K range, but for what you can get at 5,400, if you're looking to pay up at running back, maybe slam in Derrick Henry, which is obviously a great play. Waddle would be where you save your money.
I like that call a lot. You don't really get those guys like that low in a spot like this. So I'm with you on that. A guy that we talked about with Matt Harmon as like potentially one of the next superstars in this league. I know he's a guy that you really like as well, Jake. So DJ Moore, 7,900. The price is, I guess, makes me a little bit queasy, but man, he's been so good this year. Another good spot.
It really is. There's only DJ Moore and Cooper Kupp over double-digit targets per game, every single game so far. And yeah, 7,900. This is one of the ones where if I'm paying up, I looked at early projected ownership and like 1 or 2% on DJ Moore. I expect that to come up, but I don't know what it is. I don't know if people are looking at. Yeah, I don't know if it's what they're looking at this game or whatever it might be, but it's a good opportunity rate-wise against the Eagles. It's a good opportunity for the way that he's been playing. Look, they just force-fed Robbie Anderson double-digit targets, and DJ Moore still did his thing because DJ Moore is the number one. He is now in the conversation of needs to be a top 10 play every single week, and that's really what it comes down to. If you're talking about a top 10 play, He is third most expensive on the board, but right behind him in a very similar situation is DJ Moore, Deebo Samuel. You know, those guys, their volume that they're getting right now, their target share, you're talking about Devontae Adams like. And if you're talking about, no, they're not Devontae Adams and they're not, you know, that type of situation. But if you're talking about that kind of volume, that's what I'm targeting here. And at any time it can give me double-digit targets and I can bank that, I'm going to take that every single week.
Yeah, I think that's one of the ones that like I'm gonna have to like get over that weird block I have with DJ Moore. I'm not sure why it is, but now he's expensive, so it feels like kind of a bad spot to jump on him when he's just basically seen this huge price increase.
No, so that's why I like it. That's why I think it's good, is because everybody's off. Like what you are is like, okay, everybody's like, I'll come around on DJ Moore, sure, and then they see the price and they're like, no, okay, maybe I'll wait one more week.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Okay, so the next guy, I think we talked about him last week, but Courtland Sutton, he's 6,100. Man, the volume has been there, but what do we make of this? It looks like he had 8 targets last week, only 3 yards for 47, or sorry, 3 catches for 47 yards. Like, we just trust the volume here. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm still going for here. I'm still trusting the volume, and I'm still trusting the air yards. Something, and again, Devontae Smith was somebody I had in a lot of spots last week because of the same reason I'll have Courtland Sutton is unrealized air yards. So that's air yards, everybody out there. Air yards minus reception yards. So it's basically everything that's been left on the field you've been targeted at. Obviously, Odell Beckham had a very big week last week because it could have been all those air yards you caught. And that's before even after the catch. But Courtland Sutton is now number 1 in the NFL in unrealized air yards. And you can say, sure, part of that's because the mix of Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock, we don't know who the quarterback's going to be yet this week. Bridgewater's back at practice with the concussion. But I don't even care if it's either one of them. It's more because if Courtland Sutton was 7,000, I'd be like, okay, yeah, there's only so much you can put to unrealized air yards. Last year, Henry Ruggs was top 10. So sometimes the quarterback just can't connect. But at the same time, we've seen Courtland Sutton, he did connect, and it did happen in week 2. So that's the upside I'm looking at with Courtland Sutton. In a game against, yes, the Pittsburgh defense is a worrisome one, but they're more so worrisome against the run and getting to the quarterback, which this is a team that I'm more concerned of as Drew Lock getting to the quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater has been stable enough last year and shown this year that he can get the ball out quickly under pressure. And even if it's quickly, he can still throw it 15, 20 yards downfield. This is more of a lot. I talk to you every single week, and I keep saying this in case people are new, Joe, is that some of the locks are somewhat contrarian locks sometimes. This is one of the ones where I love him for the 6,000 price range. He's not one of my top 10 plays, but if you're in the 6,000 range, looking at all the names here, I think he's the best value for the price.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I guess an honorable mention in that price range, I do like Jacoby Myers quite a bit at 5,900. I think he's going to be significantly more chalky.
If he ever scored a touchdown.
This is the week, my man. Harmon called it earlier today. So
people called it last week too.
Yeah, well, it's got to happen at some point. If we say it every week, then eventually we'll be right. That's the name of this game.
Yeah. Do you know he has 2 passing touchdowns to his career and 0 receiving touchdowns? Jeff Ratcliffe.
That is wild. That is absolutely wild. All right, let's move on to tight ends. You mentioned that you, I guess, like this San Francisco situation a lot more with the new quarterback. So Kittle is only 6,500. If we're gonna see this offense as a whole take a step, if he looks a little bit better, like I don't know if we've seen Kittle under 7K in a while, right? Like they're finally kind of pricing him down a little bit.
No, and if you look at it too, so the first 2 weeks were a little bit quiet, but 9 and 10 targets the past 2 weeks, and this is really what it comes down to: is if you're gonna give me Kittle at 9 or 10 targets, I mean, you might have to. This is another one where you have to start talking 7,000 plus before if you. Put it this way, let's ask everybody watching and just think about it themselves. If I told you Kittle is getting 10 targets this week, and he says 6,500 price tag, yeah, exactly, and that's really what it comes down to. That's how I feel he is, especially against Arizona. Arizona's defense again is playing better, is a little bit more concerning, but you can still hit them in the tight end spot, especially with a talent like Kittle. So. If you're going after this game, I'm going on the San Francisco side of this game. I mean, maybe naked Kyler, but I could see, I'm tempted. I'm going to see if my stack ends up working out Lance, Kittle, and Deebo, honestly.
Yeah, no Kelsey on the slate, but no naked Tyler. You're literally going to trigger the bots again by saying naked Kyler, Jake. I don't know what's going on there today, but this is completely absurd. All right, if you did want to pay down, you mentioned this Tampa Bay game earlier. Cameron Brate is 5K. If we don't get, it looks like Gronk's not going to be in again, right? Did I have that right? Yeah. So I mean, just a very cheap punt tight end in a game that could, I guess, see some fireworks.
And not even really a punt. I mean, he kind of almost would have had it happen last week. He did have 6 targets. He's on the field twice as much. Well, running routes twice as much as OJ Howard. It was back to the OJ Howard and Cameron Brate situation before Gronk was even in town, where we were frustrated for OJ Howard. But the fact is, he's going to block. And if there's somebody out there in one tight ends and running routes, it's Cameron Brate. I guess 6 targets last week. It could have happened if you said 6 targets for most 5,000. Again, this is the process of thinking through this. 6-7 targets for somebody at 5K at the tight end position with Brate's upside in the offense that he's in is an easy place to go. So if you're going to pay down, Cameron Brate, it feels like the obvious name. We actually did a streamer section yesterday on my show with Jeff, and I felt like it was obvious, but that was my tight end streamer of the week.
Interesting. I like that. Reeves mentioned Dan Arnold at 4,800, so I think that one in that Tennessee Jacksonville game.
Especially because they traded for him.
Yeah. I do want to indulge a super chat since we have you here, Jake. Some guy in the chat, Robert, just said that he traded Justin Jefferson and Beasley for Stephon Diggs. Wants to know if it's a W. You know you got the W for me, like right there. Come on. What are your thoughts on that one? Are you Justin Jefferson guy?
Diggs?
I guess I got Jefferson. I got literally both these guys. We got JJ and we got Diggs. So I guess you break the tie.
So
Beasley and Jefferson for Diggs, essentially.
I don't want to give my answer.
Why not? Are you gonna throw some Diggs slander on this show?
No, I don't. It's just Justin Jefferson and Diggs are essentially on the same level, 100% on the same level.
Lateral move, like didn't need to add anything to it.
So, but by the way, this is real quick. I super chat, so we're answering the question, Robert. So, 100, you definitely get that. If he was coming into my comments, I'd be like, "You already did the trade; it's too late." And but this is what I'm saying. Like, this is why I don't like to answer trades that are already done, is because there's no good out of it. Either congratulations, you did it, or I say that I don't like it, and then you just feel bad. You should ask beforehand. But
yeah, man,
the reason I'll say why
to be a dick about it. Like he I guess makes a trade. Yeah, he's excited. Tell him he made a good trade.
Because I can't tell him that.
Right.
Put it this way: pay $5 more. I'll tell you made a good trade. I'm kidding. I'm not trying to get money for Joe here. No, it's really like I said. It's Jefferson for Diggs, and you threw in Beasley, who's a wide receiver 3 or 4 at half and full point PPR. You're giving away a free chip just to make a lateral move at wide receiver.
Okay. Let's talk defense before we build a lineup here. 4,400, the Denver Broncos, paying up a little bit, but I'm with you. Like when we were building with Reeves earlier, there's not a lot of really cheap defenses that seem to jump off the page this week. So tell us why Denver is your lock of the week at defense.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to try and get to the Patriots. I mean, there's no question about it. But really what it comes down to is Ben Roethlisberger is stuck in mud. He's a statue in a tar pit, honestly. That's really what it is. What else do we have to put it? He's not even practicing. They're not turning to anybody else. They refuse to. Pat Mayo made the joke to me on his show saying, do you think they would let him play if he was still in a wheelchair? Because they would probably roll him out there, literally roll him out there. And that's really what it comes down to is Ben Roethlisberger's not going anywhere. He's taking hits, taking sacks. And if you're taking hits and taking sacks, you're potentially throwing an interception. That's really that Denver Broncos defense. That's the easy one.
All right, so let's go ahead and build a FanDuel lineup. But before we do that, now that you guys all have Jake's locks of the week, so I want you to pause this video, and I want you to let me know in the comments who your lock of the week is, and we're going to go ahead and build a FanDuel team if you're up for it. Good to go?
Good to go.
Let's do this. So it was not a great week for the guests. I will continue to say, though, building this lineup on a Thursday, not easy to do with like zero ownership context, all of that stuff. So I guess a little bit more free money in the listener league, $5 rig free. You guys know the drill at this point, fanduel.com/Holka to get in there and battle the guests. I guess a little bit of a spoiler. I don't have it set up yet from the good people at FanDuel, but we're actually going to have a single entry contest coming in here very soon as well that I'll be throwing a lineup into. So Jake, where are we starting here?
We're starting with where do we start? Let's start with the running backs, Barkley and Damien Williams. I mean, those are the two. Those are the lock of the locks. So we'll start with them and then kind of work our way out of those guys.
I like that. Everyone's got like a different strategy on this. I feel like some people want to start with like a stack. I can't type. Some people want to start with stacks. Some people want to start with like the true locks or price plays that just like have to be in there. So I'm always interested to see which direction people are going to go. So any guys on the other side of these games that you really like? I think that on the other side of Saquon, the passing game on Dallas, I think is somewhat interesting. One guy that we didn't talk about at tight end, Jake, like what do you make of the Dalton Schultz stuff? Because I think that people are probably going to go back to CD Lamb again, but Dalton Schultz just keeps ruining my life.
And Dalton Schultz is ruining the world, honestly, at this point. And the weird thing is this Blake Jarwin has still been out there as almost as much as Schultz. It's just that Schultz is the one it's that's actually pretty similar to OJ Howard, Cameron Brate situation I was talking about, but Jarwin's running routes. But the thing is Schultz is just the guy that Dak is turning to. So yeah, I was gonna say I kind of want to bring it back with CD Lamb on the other side, but I feel like he's gonna be chalk. Because people are going to be like, yeah, you're going to we're going to be, apologize for the first 2 weeks. Is rightfully so. He's one of the best buy lows in seasonal, is CD Lamb. But I put him in there for now, and we'll kind of see how this goes.
Okay, so we'll have a placeholder CD in here, 6,900. All the bots in the chat again, I'm sure. All right, so. Do we want to get in? I guess what are we doing?
Do we want to talk to Robert? He actually legitimately just dropped you $5 more. Robert, I was kidding about that. You were too kind to Joe. Robert, I was 100% kidding about spending $5 more. All
right, don't get bullied by Jake. But Robert, thank you for your super chat, my man.
Completely joking.
Yeah, he says to be fair, I also start Kupp and Hill and D Hop. Like that's a hell of a wide receiver core. 12-man full PPR, Aaron Jones, Najee, Lamar. Like, I mean, it sounds like you got a great team, man. Now you got Diggs on top of it. I don't care what Jake says, man. I think it's a win with Diggs. So, with that kind of depth.
Again, look, you do have amazing depth, but I want to throw out just the strategy for going forward. For like your depth is insane. Two things. One is we're about to start the buys next week in week 6. So depth, don't overrate depth because, you're talking about the fact that, Hopkins is going to be on a bye and then Najee Harris is going to be on a bye. So like you have the option of throwing Beasley. Obviously, if the next man up behind Beasley is on his level, then it makes you feel better. But at the same time, one injury, it changes things. So all that being said, the only difference I would say is I still understand why you would do the trade, but when you have Diggs coming to you, get a flyer, get like a super buy low that somebody's just ready to drop. That like if you look, I put buy lows all the time in my article. It's just stuff like that. You probably could have gotten something thrown back to you to just stash on the bench.
See, guys, Jake can be nice. All right, let's get back on the rails here. Do we want to go a quarterback or defense? I'll let you choose. I like getting the defense in there. Lance in there. Got it.
I mean, you might as well. Yeah, you smash Denver in there.
You're going to have enough salary for sure to get to Denver at this point. All right. Are we going naked Trey? Or are we going Kittle in there?
Oh, no, we're going. Let's see. Not naked. Let's see if we can get a full in Trey, Kittle, Debo in there.
I like it. This is going to be the week that Ayuk just ruins everyone's lives. Debo.
Oh my God!
We do have the Debo jersey in the background though, so shout out to Pristine.
I'm doing a lineup at the same time you are, and I think I have the rest of my lineup, and I think we're gonna hit the bots again because to give you a hint of where the rest of my lineup is going, this is the nice 6,900 lineup.
I would imagine you're going to the running back position with that one, the guy we already talked about.
Running back 6,900, wide receiver 6,900.
All right, so
I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I have 4 6,900 guys in my lineup.
I do. Yeah, that's incredible. I've never seen that before. It's impressive, actually. DeAndre Swift is the guy that I put in.
You got Swift.
Flex.
Yeah, you got that one right.
All right, so then at wide receiver, Jake's last guy in.
I was going to say, I hope you figure out who he's 6,900. Should be easy to figure out. He would be my other lock now that he was practicing again today. You scrolled right past him.
6,900. You don't have enough salary. Am I crazy?
No, because you put in Damien Harris instead of Damien Williams.
That would do it. Damien Williams.
Put in the wrong Damien.
This is what happens, man, when I'm behind the keys right now. All right, Damien Williams. Significantly cheaper.
Damien
okay,
Harris.
So now I'm with you. So we're scrolling down here at 6,900. We have CD Lamb in there. You said, did AJ Brown practice? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, AJ Brown practiced again today.
So you're going back. You're going to the hamstring injury, right? I thought it was like multiple weeks. I didn't even think AJ was on the board.
He practiced 2 days in a row, and he's back. And if you're giving me AJ Brown with no Julio Jones,
6,900. Thank you.
Boom.
I'll take that. Jake Ciely, everybody. Want to make sure that everyone remembers that I give away free sports memorabilia every single week. So you're going to want to check out this video right here next to see what I pulled from the Week 5 Pristine Auction Mystery Box.